Hi and welcome to PN Snapshot. I'm Ollie Terry.
And I'm Jong Un.
And we are researchers at the Seoul-based think tank Peace Network. So, today we're going to talk you through a recent news story related to North Korea that appeared in the mainstream South Korean media. And we believe this story is worth paying attention to and worth delving a little bit deeper into. So, the basic outline of the story is that not one, but two of Kim Jong Un's closest aides have been purged as a result of the failed summit with the US back in February that was held in Vietnam. In addition to those two purged aides, his sister is rumored to be among the casualties who have fallen into his bad books. So let's have a look at these two aides in a little bit more detail. Who are these people?
Who are these?
First of these two aides is Kim Yong-chol. So Kim Yong-chol, he's a former spy master. He played a very important role in organizing the summit with the US. He's kind of like Pompeo's counterpart, it's fair to say. And he was reported as being purged after the failed talks and sent to a hard labor camp, and has supposedly been forced into ideological re-education. Okay, so that was the first aide, which we mentioned. The second aide, with a very similar name.
He is Kim Hyuk-chol. He is a special envoy for the US. He was tasked with preparatory work for the Hanoi summit and visited Vietnam with Kim Jong Un for the summit with the US. It was said that he was shot at for betraying the Supreme Leader charged with spying for the US. I think the spying for the US part is from the fact that he was an ambassador in North Korean embassy in Spain. And in February, there was the part that he was being charged with spying for the US is from the fact that he was an ambassador in North Korean embassy in Spain. And in February, there was a raid by some North Korean refugees and Americans that raided the embassy and took some information, handed it over to the CIA. And it was said that Kim Hyuk-chol, as a former ambassador in Spain, left some important information, like personal information, in the embassy, and CIA took over the information. So people were gasping about him. So people were gasping about US having Kim Hyuk-chol's private information.
In addition to that, I mentioned in the intro Kim Jong-un's sister, whose name is Kim Yo-jong. She's not been seen, despite her seniority, she's not been seen in public for more than 50 days. She was missing from the traveling party that went to Russia to meet Vladimir Putin. And there were all kinds of rumors and reports that she was pregnant, and that's why she was laying low, that she was being treated for drug addiction, that she had some other sort of health problem, or that she too had been sent away for ideological re-education. So that's interesting, those reports, but perhaps nothing new. But what is particularly interesting is it was shown that these reports were not true. So there was a recent art performance that was attended by Kim Jong Un, but he was not the only one in attendance, right?
Yes, Kim Yong-chol, who is alleged to be sent to the labor camp, was spotted in the same spot. He was like sitting 4 seats away from Kim Jong Un, so clearly he is not in the labor camp for now.
And so I think he was 4 or 5 seats to the left, and 2 or 3 seats to Kim Jong Un's right was his sister. So if they have been sent to a camp, they're certainly out now, and it seems unlikely. Certainly they haven't been killed, as some reports suggested. So let's start by thinking about where this rumor came from. Okay.
What's the source?
What's the source? So can you talk us through that, Taewon?
The source is 조선일보, which is one of the most major right-winged newspapers in Korea. And this is not the first time that 조선일보 reported this kind of fake news or alleged fake news. It has some history behind it.
Right. We're going to talk about those precedents soon. But it's worth mentioning that in these 조선일보 reports, you can nearly always find the same sentence, which is according to an unnamed North Korean source.
Very suspicious.
Very suspicious. Why does this keep happening? What? It's not just one source that keeps getting it wrong. There must be some reason that these incorrect or downright fake news reports about executions keep coming out. So I had two ideas.
What's the first one?
The first one is that this is a very simple idea, that South Korea or the US is slandering North Korea, posting these reports, releasing these stories. They sort of create an image that North Korea are crazy, unstable, inhumane, and perhaps gives some justification for continuing this route of sanctions and pressure and what have you. The second idea about why these reports keep coming up is, and this one's maybe a little bit harder to imagine, is maybe these leaks, these fake stories are coming from inside North Korea themselves. Now you might think, well, a crazy idea, but North Korea has been known or suggested to have this or maintain this policy of madman, sort of creating a madman image, whereby they deliberately kind of they show that they are unpredictable, that they are hard to read, that maybe they could do something crazy, so it's not clear where the limits or where the lines are, to create doubt in the enemy's mind. So it could be one of those two things. That's my...
Well, personally, I'm leaning toward the first one more, because
I think so.
For the second one, well, those kind of fake news, whether it's true or not, it's very huge damage to North Korea, considering that it's trying to promote very normal state impression to the world. So I guess it's more like the first one.
Right.
Oh, and it's really easy to misinterpret the news, because it's true that very commonly high officers in North Korea are sent to labor camp for 1 to 3 months to take responsibility of their failures in their work and come back to position. So whenever news or people see the absence of very important figures, they can think that, oh, maybe they were executed, sent to labor camp, but truly it's very common that they're sent to the labor camp and then come back.
We've got two examples to talk you through. They're both from 2013, but we could have mentioned a whole list of other examples. Why don't you talk us through the first one?
So the first one is about a singer, Hyun Song-wol. She was alleged to be shot in a hail of machine gun fire while members of her orchestra looked on. Sounds very horrible, but it turned out that she was alive and well when she visited Seoul before the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. And not only she was not executed, but she was promoted.
The second example is perhaps one that anyone watching this is probably familiar with. It's also from 2013, and it was the reports that Jong Un killed his own uncle, Chang Song-taek. And not just that he killed him, but that he killed him in a very, very dramatic way, where he gathered 300 officers and they watched his uncle taken to a cage full of 100 dogs who'd been starved for 3 days, and that was the method of death. Sounds a bit Game of Thrones, but we believe the reality is he was actually executed, but by a firing squad, nothing to do with dogs. And these reports that were shared in mainstream media, they actually originate from a Chinese-based comedy writer who tweets on what is it, Chinese Twitter called? Weibo?
Weibo, yes.
So I think, in summary, there are a couple of things you can take away. One, there is kind of a pattern, there's a history of these kind of reports. And two, because of that, you should kind of take them with a little bit of pinch of salt. You should, there's perhaps more than meets the eye. There could be some alternative motive behind these stories being printed. And third, as we mentioned, it's often really hard to get a clear clarification of what exactly has happened when it comes to North Korea, because it's so close to the outside. Okay, that's it for this week. We hope you can join us again next week, and please give us a like or feel free to write any comments and we'll try and get back to you.
Bye.